Unlock your potential. The blueprint for an extraordinary life. The life you were born to live. Right now, as you read these words, there's a version of you living an extraordinary life. This version of you has broken through every limitation, conquered every fear, and unlocked every door that currently seems closed. This version of you is living with purpose, passion, and unshakable confidence. The distance between who you are today and who you could become isn't measured in years, circumstances, or luck. It's measured in decisions, daily decisions, moment-by-moment choices that either move you toward your potential or keep you trapped in mediocrity. You have no idea what you're truly capable of achieving. None of us do. But that's not a limitation. It's the most exciting possibility in human existence. Your potential is not a ceiling. It's an infinite horizon that expands every time you dare to reach for it. This is not another collection of feel-good platitudes. This is a blueprint for transformation, a roadmap for the journey from who you are to who you're meant to become. It's time to stop settling for a life that's merely acceptable and start building one that's absolutely extraordinary. 1. The sacred art of not wasting your life. Time, your most precious currency. Every morning you wake up with 400 seconds deposited into your life account. By the end of the day, every single second is gone, whether you used it wisely or squandered it mindlessly. Unlike money, you can't save time, invest it for later, or get a refund when you waste it. Time spent is time gone forever. The tragedy isn't that life is short. The tragedy is that most people live as if it's endless. They postpone their dreams, delay their happiness, and defer their greatness, always assuming there will be more time later. But later is a lie that mediocrity tells to keep you comfortable with inaction. Think about this. If you live to be 80 years old, you have roughly 700 hours on this planet. Subtract time for sleeping, and you have about 450 waking hours. That sounds like a lot until you realize you've already spent thousands of those hours, and many of them on things that didn't matter. The question that changes everything is this: if you only had 1 year left to live, how would you spend it? What would you do? Who would you become? What risks would you take? What dreams would you pursue? Now ask yourself, why aren't you living that way right now? The deathbed test. There's a profound clarity that comes at the end of life. A crystal clear understanding of what truly mattered and what was merely noise. Studies of people in their final days reveal a consistent pattern of regrets. And these regrets teach us everything we need to know about how to live. The dying don't regret the chances they took. They regret the chances they didn't take. They don't wish they had worked more hours. They wish they had lived more fully. They don't regret their failures. They regret their failures to try. Here's what they wish they had done. Live true to themselves, not the expectations of others. Express their feelings more openly. Stayed in touch with friends who mattered. Allowed themselves to be happier. Pursued their dreams with courage. The beautiful thing about the deathbed test is that you don't have to wait until your deathbed to apply it. You can use this clarity right now to make better choices, to prioritize what matters, and to stop wasting precious time on things that won't matter in the end. The compound effect of daily choices. Your life is not shaped by occasional grand gestures. It's shaped by the accumulation of daily choices. The choice to wake up early or hit snooze. The choice to learn something new or scroll through social media. The choice to have a difficult conversation or avoid conflict. The choice to exercise or stay sedentary. These choices seem insignificant in isolation, but they compound over time to create the trajectory of your entire life. The person who reads for 30 minutes every day will consume over 50 books in a year. The person who exercises consistently will transform their health. The person who consistently works on their goals will achieve things that seem impossible to others. The opposite is also true. Small negative choices compound into big problems. A few minutes of daily procrastination becomes years of unfulfilled potential. Consistent negative thinking becomes a pessimistic worldview. Regular excuses become a lifestyle of mediocrity. Every choice is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. What kind of person are your daily votes electing? 2. The power of audacious goals. Why thinking small is the biggest risk. Most people set goals that are small enough to guarantee they won't fail. They aim for improvements that are modest enough to feel safe, achievements that are reasonable enough to seem realistic, and dreams that are small enough to fit into their current circumstances. But here's what they don't realize. Thinking small is actually the riskiest strategy of all. When you aim low, you remove the excitement, passion, and energy that fuel achievement. You rob yourself of the motivation that comes from pursuing something that truly matters to you. Small goals create small lives. They keep you operating within your current capabilities instead of forcing you to grow into your potential. They make you a prisoner of your past instead of an architect of your future. Audacious goals, on the other hand, do something magical. They change who you have to become to achieve them. When you set a goal that's bigger than your current self, you're forced to develop new skills, new habits, new relationships, and new ways of thinking. The goal doesn't just get achieved, you get transformed in the process. The 10x rule. Instead of asking, how can I improve by 10%? Ask, how can I improve by 10x? This single shift in thinking opens up possibilities that incremental improvement could never reach. When you try to improve by 10%, you're essentially trying to do the same things you're already doing, just slightly better. But when you try to improve by 10x, you have to completely reimagine your approach. You have to think differently, act differently, and become different. A 10% improvement in your income might come from working slightly more hours. A 10x improvement in your income requires you to create something valuable, solve bigger problems, or serve more people. The first keeps you trapped in trading time for money. The second forces you to think like an entrepreneur. A 10% improvement in your fitness might come from exercising a bit more. A 10x improvement in your fitness requires you to completely transform your lifestyle, your habits, and your identity. You don't just get fitter, you become an athlete. The magic of impossible deadlines. Most people give themselves too much time to achieve their goals, which creates two problems. They procrastinate because there's no urgency, and they lower their standards because they assume mediocre effort over a long time will eventually produce extraordinary results. But what if you cut your timeline in half? What if instead of giving yourself 2 years to write that book, you gave yourself 6 months? What if instead of planning to lose weight over the next year, you committed to transforming your body in 90 days? Impossible deadlines force innovation. When you don't have the luxury of time, you can't afford to waste energy on low-value activities. You're forced to focus on what truly matters, eliminate what doesn't, and find creative solutions to challenges. The person with an impossible deadline becomes resourceful. The person with a comfortable timeline becomes complacent. Goals as identity statements. The most powerful goals are not about what you want to have, they're about who you want to become. Instead of, I want to lose 20 pounds, try, I want to become the kind of person who takes care of their body. Instead of, I want to make more money, try, I want to become the kind of person who creates value for others. This shift changes everything because behavior flows from identity. When you see yourself as a healthy person, eating well, and exercising become natural expressions of who you are. When you see yourself as someone who creates value, finding ways to serve others becomes automatic. Your goals should scare you and excite you at the same time. If they don't scare you, they're too small. If they don't excite you, they're not aligned with your deepest values and desires. 3. The alchemy of perspective. The revolutionary power of focus. Your attention is the most valuable resource you possess, and where you direct it determines the quality of your life. Focus on problems, and problems multiply. Focus on possibilities and opportunities appear. Focus on what's wrong, and you'll find more things wrong. Focus on what's right, and you'll discover beauty and potential everywhere. This isn't positive thinking. It's selective attention. Your brain receives millions of pieces of information every second, but can only consciously process a tiny fraction. The filter you use to determine what gets through shapes your reality more than the events themselves. When you focus on what's wrong with your life, your relationships, or your circumstances, you're training your brain to become an expert at finding problems. You develop a negativity bias that colors every experience. You become someone who can find fault with anything and satisfaction with nothing. But when you train your attention to look for what's right, what's working, what's beautiful, what's possible, you rewire your brain for appreciation, optimism, and growth. You don't become naive or ignore real problems. You become someone who sees solutions instead of just obstacles. The gratitude revolution. Gratitude is not just a nice emotion. It's a life-changing practice that literally rewrites your neural pathways. When you consistently focus on what you're grateful for, you train your brain to notice abundance instead of scarcity, progress instead of problems, and possibilities instead of limitations. But most people practice gratitude wrong. They make generic lists of obvious things. I'm grateful for my family, my health, my job. While these are valid, this surface-level gratitude doesn't create transformation. Transformational gratitude is specific, emotional, and surprising. Instead of, I'm grateful for my family, try, I'm grateful for the way my daughter's face lights up when she sees me come home, and how that moment reminds me of what truly matters. Instead of, I'm grateful for my health, try, I'm grateful for the strength in my legs that allows me to climb stairs without thinking about it, something many people can't do. This kind of gratitude doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you see better. It opens your eyes to the extraordinary nature of ordinary moments and the abundance that already exists in your life. The stories that shape reality. Every situation in your life is neutral until you create a story about it. The story you choose determines your emotional response, your available options, and your future actions. Lost your job? You could tell the story of failure and victimhood, or the story of liberation and new beginnings. Relationship ended? You could tell the story of rejection and unworthiness, or the story of growth and making space for something better. Business idea didn't work? You could tell the story of incompetence, or the story of learning and iteration. The facts are the same, but the stories create completely different realities. One story imprisons you, the other empowers you. One story closes doors, the other opens them. One story makes you a victim, the other makes you a hero. The most successful people aren't those who never face challenges. They're those who tell empowering stories about their challenges. They see setbacks as setups for comebacks, failures as education, and obstacles as opportunities to grow stronger. The comparison trap and the celebration solution. In our hyper-connected world, it's easier than ever to compare your life to others' highlight reels. Social media feeds us a constant stream of other people's best moments, biggest achievements, and most photogenic experiences. Meanwhile, you experience your own behind-the-scenes reality. The struggles, the mundane moments, the work that happens before the celebration. This comparison trap is poison for your potential because it makes you feel like you're falling behind when you're actually making progress. It makes you question your path when you should be walking it with confidence. It makes you want someone else's life instead of building your own extraordinary story. The antidote to comparison is celebration. Specifically, celebrating others' success as proof of what's possible for you too. When someone achieves something you want, instead of feeling jealous, get curious. How did they do it? What can you learn? What possibilities does their success reveal? Their success is not your failure. Their achievement is not your limitation. Their progress is not your problem. It's your inspiration and your evidence that what you want is achievable. 4. Love more, hate less. The heart of transformation. The radical act of love. Love is not just an emotion. It's a strategy for living that creates more joy, deeper connections, and greater success than any other approach to life. When you lead with love, love for people, love for your work, love for challenges, love for growth, you tap into an energy source that's renewable, powerful, and transformative. But love, in this context, doesn't mean being passive, naive, or weak. It means approaching life with an open heart, genuine care for others, and a commitment to contributing to something bigger than yourself. It means seeing the humanity in everyone, including those who challenge you or think differently than you do. This kind of love is strategic because it's magnetic. People are drawn to those who make them feel valued, understood, and appreciated. Opportunities flow to those who create positive energy. Success comes more easily to those who lift others up rather than tear them down. The toxicity of hate. Hate, whether it's directed at people, circumstances, or parts of yourself, is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It consumes your energy, clouds your judgment, and closes your heart to possibilities that could change everything. Hate makes you stupid. When you're consumed with anger, resentment, or bitterness, you can't see clearly, think strategically, or act wisely. You become reactive instead of responsive, destructive instead of creative, closed instead of open. But here's what's most tragic about hate. It hurts you far more than it hurts its target. The person you resent might not even know you're angry, but you carry that anger everywhere you go. The situation you hate might be unchangeable, but you make yourself miserable by fighting reality. The part of yourself you despise becomes stronger because what you resist persists. The practice of radical acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean approval or resignation. It means acknowledging reality as it is right now, without the mental and emotional struggle that comes from wishing it were different. When you accept what is, you free up enormous energy that was previously trapped in resistance. This doesn't mean you become passive or stop working for change. It means you stop fighting reality and start working with it. You acknowledge where you are so you can make clear-eyed decisions about where you want to go. Acceptance is particularly powerful when applied to yourself. Instead of hating your flaws, weaknesses, or past mistakes, you can acknowledge them as part of your current reality while choosing to grow beyond them. Self-hatred never created positive change. It only created more suffering. The multiplication effect of kindness. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, creates ripples that extend far beyond what you can see. The smile you give to a stranger might brighten their entire day. The encouragement you offer to a colleague might give them the confidence they need to take an important risk. The patience you show to someone who's difficult might be the only grace they experience that day. But kindness isn't just about helping others. It's about who you become in the process. When you consistently choose kindness, you train yourself to look for the best in people and situations. You develop emotional intelligence, strengthen your relationships, and create a reputation that opens doors. Kindness is also contagious. When you treat people well, they're more likely to treat others well. You become a catalyst for positive change that extends far beyond your direct influence. Building bridges instead of walls. In a world that seems increasingly divided, the ability to connect with people who are different from you becomes a superpower. Instead of seeing differences as threats, You can see them as opportunities to learn, grow, and expand your understanding of the world. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone or compromise your values. It means you can disagree without being disagreeable. Stand firm in your principles without attacking others. And maintain relationships, even when you have different perspectives. Bridge builders are rare in a world full of wall builders, which makes them incredibly valuable. They become the people others turn to for wisdom, mediation, and leadership. They create opportunities because they can connect different groups, ideas, and perspectives. 5. The infinite nature of your potential. The myth of fixed limitations, one of the most destructive lies you can believe about yourself, is that your abilities, intelligence, and potential are fixed at their current levels. This fixed mindset assumes that you either have talent or you don't, that you're either smart enough or you're not, that you can either achieve something or you can't. But decades of research in neuroscience and psychology have proven this wrong. Your brain has neuroplasticity, the ability to form new neural pathways throughout your entire life. You can literally rewire your brain through your thoughts, actions, and experiences. This means that every limitation you currently experience is temporary. The skills you lack can be developed. The knowledge you don't have can be acquired. The person you are today is not the person you have to remain tomorrow. The only truly permanent limitation is the belief that your limitations are permanent. The growth mindset revolution. When you adopt a growth mindset, the belief that abilities can be developed through dedication, hard work, and learning from failure, everything changes. Challenges become opportunities to grow. Failures become information for improvement. Criticism becomes feedback for development. Instead of asking, "Am I good at this?" you ask, "How can I get better at this?" Instead of avoiding difficult tasks, you seek them out because they stretch your capabilities. Instead of seeing effort as a sign of weakness, you see it as the path to mastery. This shift doesn't just change what you can achieve, it changes who you become. You transform from someone who avoids challenges to someone who embraces them, from someone who fears failure to someone who learns from it, from someone who is threatened by others' success to someone who is inspired by it. The compound effect of small improvements. You don't need to transform overnight. In fact, trying to change everything at once often leads to failure and discouragement. Instead, focus on getting 1% better every day. These tiny improvements might seem insignificant, but they compound into extraordinary results. If you improve by just 1% every day for a year, you'll be 37 times better by the end of the year. That's not just improvement. That's transformation. The person who reads 10 pages a day will finish 18 books in a year. The person who exercises 20 minutes daily will be in completely different physical condition within months. The person who learns one new skill weekly will have 52 new capabilities by year's end. The key is consistency over intensity. It's better to take small actions every day than big actions occasionally. Consistency creates momentum, builds habits, and compounds results in ways that sporadic bursts of effort never can. Your unique combination of strengths. You are not just another person trying to succeed in a crowded world. You are a unique combination of experiences, perspectives, talents, and passions that has never existed before and will never exist again. Your potential is not about becoming like someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. Your greatest achievements will come not from trying to be good at everything, but from discovering and developing your unique strengths. What comes naturally to you that others struggle with? What energizes you while draining others? What problems do you see that others miss? What solutions do you imagine that others can't? These aren't just random characteristics. They're clues to your greatest potential. They point toward the unique contribution you're here to make, the specific way you can add value to the world that no one else can replicate. The courage to begin. The distance between where you are and where you could be is not measured in ability, resources, or circumstances. It's measured in the courage to begin. Every extraordinary life started with someone deciding to take the first step, despite not knowing where the path would lead. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You don't need to have all the answers to ask better questions. You don't need to feel confident to act courageously. You just need to begin. Beginning is a declaration that you believe in your own potential. It's a statement that your dreams matter enough to pursue, even if the path is unclear. It's an act of faith in your ability to figure things out as you go. 6. The decision that changes everything. The power of commitment. There's a moment in every extraordinary life when potential energy becomes kinetic energy. When dreams stop being wishes and become plans. When someday becomes today. When maybe becomes absolutely. That moment is the moment of true commitment. Commitment is not about feeling motivated. Motivation is an emotion that comes and goes. Commitment is a decision that you make once and then honor through your actions, regardless of how you feel on any given day. When you truly commit to something, several powerful things happen. First, clarity emerges. When you're committed, you stop wasting mental energy on whether you're going to do something and start focusing on how you're going to do it. Decision fatigue disappears because the big decision has already been made. Second, resources appear. When you're truly committed to something, you notice opportunities that were always there, but previously invisible. You meet people who can help. You find time you didn't know you had. You discover capabilities you didn't know you possessed. Third, obstacles become challenges to overcome rather than excuses to quit. When you're not truly committed, every difficulty becomes a reason to give up. When you are committed, every difficulty becomes a puzzle to solve. The all-in mentality. Half-hearted efforts produce half-hearted results. When you approach your goals with one foot in and one foot out, you guarantee mediocrity. You can't achieve extraordinary results with ordinary commitment. Going all in doesn't mean being reckless or ignoring other aspects of your life. It means bringing your full presence, energy, and focus to what matters most. It means treating your dreams as seriously as you treat your obligations. It means showing up for your goals the same way you'd show up for someone you love. The all-in mentality is magnetic. People can sense when someone is fully committed to something meaningful, and they want to be part of that energy. Opportunities, resources, and support flow toward those who demonstrate unwavering commitment to worthy goals. The 48-hour rule. Here's a practical application of commitment. When you decide to pursue a goal or make a change in your life, take concrete action within 48 hours. Not 48 days, not 48 weeks, 48 hours. This could be as simple as buying a book related to your goal, signing up for a course, having a conversation with someone who's achieved what you want, or taking any small step that moves you from thinking to doing. The 48-hour rule works because it prevents the enthusiasm gap. That period between inspiration and action where doubt, fear, and procrastination creep in to kill your momentum. It transforms you from someone who has good intentions to someone who takes action. The identity shift. The most powerful commitment you can make is not to achieve something, but to become someone. When you commit to being the kind of person who achieves your goals, your behavior naturally aligns with that identity. Instead of committing to write a book, commit to being a writer. Instead of committing to lose weight, commit to being someone who takes care of their body. Instead of committing to build a business, commit to being an entrepreneur. This identity-based approach is more sustainable because it's not dependent on specific outcomes. Even if one particular goal doesn't work out, you remain committed to being the type of person who pursues meaningful goals. 7. The daily practice of extraordinary living. Morning rituals for success. How you start your day determines the trajectory of everything that follows. When you begin each morning with intention, purpose, and positive energy, You set yourself up for success in everything you do. Extraordinary people don't stumble into greatness accidentally. They create it through daily practices that compound over time. Your morning ritual should include elements that strengthen your mind, body, and spirit. Physical activation. Movement wakes up your body and increases blood flow to your brain. This could be exercise, stretching, or even just a few minutes of deep breathing. Mental preparation. Spend time setting intentions for the day, reviewing your goals, or engaging in activities that sharpen your thinking like reading or journaling. Spiritual connection. Whether through meditation, prayer, gratitude practice, or simply spending time in nature, connecting with something larger than yourself provides perspective and peace. Learning. Dedicate time to learning something new every day. This keeps your mind growing and prevents stagnation. The specific activities matter less than the consistency and intention behind them. Your morning ritual becomes a daily investment in becoming the person you want to be. The evening review. Just as important as how you start your day is how you end it. An evening review allows you to learn from the day's experiences, celebrate progress, and prepare for tomorrow's success. Ask yourself these questions each evening. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? What did I learn? What am I grateful for? What's my priority for tomorrow? This practice prevents days from blending together in a blur of activity without meaning. It helps you recognize progress that might otherwise go unnoticed, and identify patterns that either support or sabotage your goals. The power of systems over goals. Goals are important for setting direction, but systems are what create results. A goal is what you want to achieve. A system is the process you follow to achieve it. Focus too much on goals, and you might achieve them once but struggle to maintain the results. Focus on systems, and you create sustainable success that continues long after specific goals are reached. If your goal is to write a book, your system might be writing 500 words every morning. If your goal is to get fit, your system might be exercising for 30 minutes each day. If your goal is to build better relationships, your system might be having one meaningful conversation daily. Systems turn desired outcomes into inevitable results through the power of consistent action. Measuring what matters. What gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed improves. But most people measure the wrong things. They focus on outcomes they can't directly control. Instead of actions they can. Instead of measuring your weight, measure how many days you ate according to your plan. Instead of measuring your income, measure how many value-creating activities you completed. Activities. We. Re. And. Re. Instead of measuring others' responses to you, measure how consistently you showed up as your best self. This shift from outcome metrics to process metrics gives you more control over your success and provides feedback that actually helps you improve. Conclusion. Your extraordinary life awaits, the choice that defines everything. You stand at a crossroads that every human being faces countless times throughout their life. You can continue living the same way you've been living, accepting the same results you've been getting, and remaining the same person you've always been. Or you can decide that today is the day you will hear from again if you click on the subscribe and follow button. See you in the next episode.